Well, a very good afternoon to you. And if you've been following the entire proceedings from the early part with the Sunrisers or the Daybreakers, it's going to be an interesting one for us here today as we get on with the event. We are right here in the heart of what we'd call a really scenic setting. We'll tell you all about it in just a little bit, but more importantly, let's remind you that this is the KLPGA, and it's very, very important for us because, more importantly, just to look at what the entire, well, event is about. So, right now it's Choi Min Kyung who's on to her second. She's on her seventh hole. It's a par three for the asking, and it looks like she's going to, uh, well, nail that on par. Sets herself up fairly well for it. Here's Lee Ji Young aiming for birdie. She'll just miss it narrowly. So let's remind you once again that this is the SH suhyup-bank MBN Women's Open. It's being played right here in Gyeonggi-do, and total prize money, well, is about 1,000,000,000 won. Yeah, that's what it is. Well, we'll break that down for in US dollars for you in just a little bit. Park Do Young, and she's well nailed a birdie well there. You would think earlier she had well a bogey as well. And I think that's so important. You want to try and finish, with as many positives as you can on the first day, because that's when you sift through, you find out who the cream of the crop really is. Well, sometimes a bit difficult to navigate through that very area. Here we go, a fairly good chance of nailing a birdie here for Bang Shin Sil. She's on an even score as of now. Well, that's the sixth hole for her. It's a par 4 for the asking. Had a very good tee off to begin with. So I'd say that's well done by Bang Shin Sil. That's the first birdie of the day, and I think that should give her a good bit of confidence as well. Well, sometimes tripping the light fantastic, or trying to get yourself out into the open can be a bit daunting, especially when you have, well, a few twists and turns. I absolutely love this course for a reason. There's the scenic mountain settings behind, and well, personally, I grew up as a child with mountains in the back, just beyond the backyard. Not that I'm a mountain man, but it was just I was just so used to that. And strangely, we also had a massive river that was in front. So waterfronts or mountains, I'll take both. Normally, you have people who are just fussy about them. Another beautifully placed shot. I think just wanted to give that a little bit more of a lift. It's fairly far from, well, her destination, I would believe. And just to look back at the seventh hole. And that's a par 3 for the asking. And it's a bit of a tricky hole, has a bit of a descent there on that right side. You want to try and avoid that as much as possible. You've got 2 sand bunkers as well. So getting ready to tee off here. Remember, it's still early days here, and it's Bang Shin Sil. Just going in with a 7-iron. She's got a 1 under after she nailed that birdie in her previous, well, challenge. Well, I was about to say it's going to be fairly decent till it actually skimmed out there, but she's still got a fighting chance of keeping that positive score. I think she was trying to keep it a fairly closer, you know. That's a bit of the rough, I'd say, for Cho Ayan. It's the 8th hole. It's a par 4 for the asking. Well, she'll miss out on the birdie, but she's got herself into the clear. She can still finish with an even score here. Well, on par, a good consolation. Time for Lee Ji Young. 167 meters is what we're looking at on hole number 7. Now she's going in with a 6 iron, unlike Bang Shin Sil, who went in with a 7. It's always a matter of preference. Well, that's a fairly good effort. It's a fairly good effort from her. Puts herself in contention of a 1 under. Let's move on to Cho Ayan. Remember, she got herself out of that rough. We'll look to finish even. Well, sometimes. It's just sometimes, isn't it? She will bogey that. She was in fairly good stead to have finished on par. Kim Woo Jeong. 370 meters is the asking for that hole. 150 meters, of course, to the hole for her. She's using a 5 club. That's just going to peter down a little bit. Well, some of the holes definitely, the green can be very, very tricky. There's a lot of slopes, and you sometimes think, you know, when the challenges are actually built in, you know, during the original design, it really makes a difference as time goes on. Aiming for a birdie or a fairly good chance of missing it, I would say. So I think just a tad bit too much of club on that. Wanted to nudge it a little, well, easier. So Jeong Yoon Ji. Well, she'll miss out on a birdie, but that's beautiful, isn't it? She just put that ball in line with a shadow that gives her a clear marking if she wants to just finish with an even score. And I think she can do that. Just needs a bit of a tap in. Well, that's a fairly good lift for her. So we're now to here's Lim Jin Young, looking to finish on par for a 6th hole. She's the joint leader currently. And that's well done. Absolutely lovely tap in there. Bang Shin Sil did get, well, I wouldn't say onto the rough, but just beyond the green. Well, just agonizingly close for her. I think she would have loved to have, well, just finished that with a 1 under score. That's well done. Park Ju-young finishes with a birdie on the front 9, and I think she'd be really happy about that. Lee Ji-young aiming for birdie. Narrowly will just miss out, but she can't finish with an even. And that's exactly what she does. Well, she's not going to be thrilled, but she'll be pleased that she at least didn't get into, well, the negative side of it, which means a positive score. But it's always going to be a tad bit tough to find the direction there. I did promise you earlier that I was going to give you the actual, conversion of the Korean won to US dollars for the prize money, and I'll do that in a bit. It's Kim Min Sun now. Oh, well done. Absolute confidence there from this young lady. And on the 9th hole with that 1 under, well done. Meanwhile, Choi Yu-rim. Just a narrow miss there. She could still very well finish with a positive, so not a worry at all for her. Bang Shin-sil once again, and that's teeing off for the 8th hole. The asking is a par 4. It's got herself onto the rough once again. I think she just packed in a lot of power into that one. Good swing. She's got good arms, and but I do love the way that this young lady, well, does go about her business, especially with the teeing off, and more so with that choice of iron. That's so important. Here's Lee Ji-young. She's got a 2 under score, 360 meters for the asking, a par 4 on hole 8. Here she tees off. But just escaping the bunker there. Would have thought she had a good bit of arm on that as well. So the prize money actually is about 723,274 US dollars. Choi Min-kyung on to her 3rd effort. Remember, she'll miss out on the birdie, but she can still get an on-par finish there. Lim Jin-young, she's the joint leader. Tees off for hole number 7. It's a par 3 for the asking. Park To Young on hole number 8. She's on to a third, 11 meters to the hole. Coming agonizing close, but she's placed herself well. It's such an odd thing, isn't it? Sometimes you want to take the risk when you want to go in for the birdies, but then you also want to play it cautious and try and keep, your calm so that you can get an even score finish. So, Yun Mina, Park Min Ji, Park Yeol, and Lim Jin Yong, the quartet that lead the top with 68 points that we're looking at on the 68, of course, left on that 72. It's a 4 under for each of them, and I think that they'd be rather happy with that. Then you look at the 5th position where there's Jang Jimin, and Jang Jimin, of course, there are 2 of them. Jang Jimin is on 3 under. There's not much of a difference, of course, between that top quartet and then, of course, the rest that follow. But ton of them there in that 5th position. Hwang Yina, Lee Soo-jin, Moon Jung-min, Ko Ji-won, Kang Ji-sun, all of course on 3 under. So it's going to be very interesting to keep in mind one very, very key point, and that of course is it's a 3-day event. So today it's pretty much a do or die as far as the action is concerned, and more importantly, I think it's really about who comes out on top. Remember, the leaders on the first day don't necessarily translate to the winners on the third. So it will be interesting to see but who comes out on top. We've seen some stellar performances. It's still a very close race at the top, and I think at the end of the day, we will of course find it fairly tough to find out if there is just a single leader or there are a couple of them that will share that space at the top. So once again, let's remind you that this, of course, is, the S8 suhyup-bank Open. There's a lot to expect from it. Well, very scenic setting for the tournament. We'll tell you all about it. It's just such a beautiful location. You've got that mountain view behind. You've got layers when it comes to it. It's almost like there is a descent and an ascent as far as a lot of the greens are concerned, and they're structured so beautifully. Designing a course, on a slopey area or a mountainside or anything like that, it's not the easiest. This one almost mathematically put together in terms of the way that it's actually structured, and we've got to thank our cameramen, we've got to thank our drone controllers for those beautiful shots that we get. But really fascinating. I do love this course very, very much. Other courses, of course, do not have that much of an incline. Some of them, especially the ones that are more seaside, or just overlooking the sea or the ocean, but will tend to be a little bit easier as far as the slopes are concerned. But beautiful, beautiful area, beautiful course. Absolutely love it. And yes, so we are of course going to continue with the thrilling action that we've had since the morning. Let's also remind you that we've got a couple of events that have already been done with, and left to be seen, if any of the previous winners can actually, come to the fore here today. Stay with us, don't go anywhere as we continue with our event, which is the S8 suhyup-bank MBN Women's Open. Choi Min Kyung looking to finish on par on the 8th, and yes, she does. Lovely tap in. I didn't have to sweat at all for that, so she'll be pleased with that. Lim Jin Yong aiming for birdie on hole number 7, 4.1 meters. You talk of how sometimes things can be, well, just really, really upsetting. And it's just one of those. Park Do-young will finish with an even score. Lee Ji-young with a second, 101 meters to the hole. This is for the 8th. And, well, she had a very good, well, event in the 7th hole. Just struggling a tad bit here in the 8th. Well, that just stayed put, didn't it? And it's just sometimes when there's, well, it's almost like you think that the ball has a mind of its own. Bang Shin-sil, she's on to her second. That's for hole number 8. Still got a fair chance of nailing a birdie here. She's been going against the grain since the morning. I think she really wants to shine, you know, in her efforts here today. Meanwhile, Choi Ye-rim, she's on to her second. This is the 11th hole. Kim Min-sun, 143 meters to the hole. She's on to her second. This is for hole number 10. That's well struck there. Well, a good bit of cheer there for this young lady who's just trying to find a groove in the last few, well, strokes. Chua Yeon finishes with an even score, but she'll maintain that positive 2 that she's got. I think she'd like to drop that down into the negative region as soon as she can. Oh, as we always know, negatives are always a positive in golf, aren't they? So, Bangshin Sil looking for a birdie on hole number 8. Beautifully done. Absolutely marvelous effort from her. So that's 2 birdies in that front 9. She's still got, of course, 1 more to go. And if she nails that, she'll put herself in good stead. Slowly climbing up the order, if you ask me. Close to the water's edge, I believe. Not really there, but just saying it. At least the caddy is. Here's Choya Rim. Will definitely miss out on a birdie here. Lee Ji-young. And I think she'll be fairly pleased with that. She was just struggling a tad bit earlier. Kim Woo-jeong. Kim is aiming for birdie. And Kim's done well here, just to keep herself in, well, the running. Yes, Park Do-young. 151 meters to the hole. She's on to her second stroke, and that's for hole number 9. I think that's a fairly a strong, well, move from her, and definitely giving herself a shot in the arm. Let's remind you once again that this is, well, only day 1. Kim Min-sun 7 looking to finish on par. This is for hole number 10. And she'll keep her calm there. Well, just in case I've been a bit impolite and haven't introduced myself, my name is Glenn Mascarenas, and I'm going to be taking you through this entire tournament right till the finale on Sunday. It's an important one in the KLPGA calendar, just as, well, every single one is. But it's been interesting. We've kept our focus on Bangshin Sil and her trio. On to hole number 9. She's given that a good bit of arm. And I think that was, well, that's a fairly worthy shot. I like the way that she's been going about her business today. It's like it's been a constructive day at the office for her. She hasn't really come out with anything stellar, but she's been fairly consistent with her efforts since the morning. If she can finish with another birdie here, she'll really, well, up her ante. Lee Ji-young onto her first effort. This is for hole 9. 380 meters is what we're looking at. She's carrying a 2 on the score so far. Well, she certainly packed her wallop into that one. Well, it's never going to be the easiest to get yourself close to the green, and you really want to do your best times like this. Now here's Lim Jin Young, who's the current joint leader. 114 meters, we're looking at an elevation of about 13.7 meters. She's got a 4 under. This is for hole number 8. It's got herself off the green but fairly close to it. She would have been very keen on finishing better. Yes, Cho Ayan on her second effort. That's for hole number 10. She has to cover 168 meters to get to the hole. But covering anything that is close to that would be good enough. And well, that's just rolled onto that incline, and you don't want to get off the green. So a tad bit unfortunate for her. Meanwhile, Park Do Young will look to finish on par. That ball afraid of the dark for certain. Just needed a little bit of nudging, a little bit of confidence being instilled into it, and I think she does well just to finish that. So here we have it, the joint leaders, Park Min-ji, Park Gyeol, Lim Jin Young, and Yoon Mina. Let's not forget, of course, that they all have a 4 under. Then Jang Jimin 2 leads the rest of the pack. And I do believe that it's fairly interesting when you actually look at, how things pan out in the end for, well, our front golfers. Up there in that 5th position, of course, you've got a ton of them, including Hwang Yi-na, Lee Soo-jin, and An Sung-hee. And then, of course, follows the 12th positions, which is the 2 unders, where Sung Yoo-jin, Lee Dong-yeon, Lee Won, Park Bo-kyum. Of course, Bang Shin-sil was also in there, and she'll be aiming to probably get herself into that, top 5 area very soon. Once again, a beautiful, well, setting of the course itself. How beautiful it has been. Now here's Lee Ji-young. She's going in with a 9 iron. 124 meters to the hole. It's for hole number 9. She's on to her second stroke. fairly well placed, I would say, but she gets it just beyond. $108 to the hole for Jung Yoon Ji. Well, let's remind you once again that we are coming at you live from Gyeonggi-do, where it's the SH suhyup-bank MBN Women's Open. Bang Shin-sil going in with her effort. Oh, that's wonderfully done. Wonderfully done. She's been, well, just growing from strength to strength. And I think she'll be very pleased with the performance on that first 9. This is the 9th hole for her. Let's very quickly also remind you that we are at the Star Hue Golf Course, and it's well, one of the courses I really do love because of its mountainous kind of setting. Lim Jin-young onto her 3rd stroke. This is of course for hole number 8. She'll be aiming for birdie here. She's joint leader as well. Oh, well, I'd say just played a truant there. That's a good chance for her to actually finish. Fairly strong windy conditions here today. They haven't, I mean, the higher you get normally, it's always going to be like that, isn't it? Kim Min-sun, she's on to her 2nd. This is for hole number 11, 119 meters to the hole. Got a good bit of a loft on that. I think when you get the height, the distance, well, will be cut short just a little bit, but that's the right way to go when you want that placement to occur. Choi Ka-bin on hole number 10. Oh, that's outstanding. Well, that's a good bit of joy here, not just for Choi Ka-bin, but everyone involved. And she brings it down to 2. She's a 2 over now. Let's not forget she had, well, 3 bogeys there in that first 9. Opens up, you know, the back 9 with a change. Well, it's been fairly sunny in these parts of Gyeonggi-do as Jung Yoon Ji, of course, gets ready to aim for a birdie on hole number 9. It's a bit of a tough ask. And everyone holding their breath there. 34% humidity. Wind has been at about 8 kilometers per hour, but it looks to me like it's actually gone up maybe to about 10 or 12. Difficult for me to really count it. I'm not the greatest at being a weatherman, but I can make out this huge gust of wind coming in, and that definitely means it's just going to make it a bit more challenging for, you know, the ladies to gain control of what they're doing. Lim Jin-young now will look to finish on par for hole number 8, and she's done well to keep, well, her calm there. She was in contention of a birdie for that one. sitting right there in Bang Chinsul's group. It's Lee Ji-young. She will aim for birdie on hole number 9. Well, just a Cuban from her would believe. Well, she'll accept that gracefully and move on. I think she would have been very, very content to have nailed a birdie if possible. Teeing off for hole number 9, Lim Jin-young. Right there on the carpet once again. Yes, Bang Chin-sul aiming for birdie. Hole number 9. Oh, beautifully done. And she's been, well, one amazing young lady to watch in the morning. 3 birdies in there. She finishes with a 33 on the first 9, and I think that's really, really important. She's gone from strength to strength, you know, nailing those birdies right towards the end on 6, 7, and on the 9th hole. Kim Min-sun also aiming for birdie on hole number 11. And that, of course, is a Cuban for her. But she'll finish with an even. Haven't seen too much of Jung Yoon-ji, but she's been right there with her teammates, with the group mates, sorry. Looks to finish on par for hole number 9. And that's always going to be, well, just a bit of a worry. Unfortunately picks up a bogey there on hole number 9. Yes, Park Chu-young aiming for birdie on hole number 11. She's carrying a 1-over score. Oh, meticulous shot if you ask me, but unable to drive that in, and she'll have to settle with an on par. I think she'll accept that. She's a cool customer. She'll take it in a stride. Lee Seung-yeon, hole number 11. Can she nail a birdie? Oh yes, she does. Brings it to a 1-over. So she's slowly, well, getting herself into a better position at 2 bogeys on that first 9. And here, well, 1 birdie. I think that should help her out. Meanwhile, Choi Min-kyun. That's his second effort. Well, that is absolutely fantastic. I would have said I'll be really shocked. You know, so close to having, well, nailed that. Could have been an eagle for her there. So here's the leaderboard once again, you know, right there at the top. Yoon Min-ah, she's been doing very well along with Park Min-ji, Park Yeol, and Lim Jin-young. And these young ladies, of course, have been leading the way. Then, of course, you've got Jung Ji-min to Hwang Yin-ah, Lee Soo-jin, and followed by, with Koji Won, Kang Ji Sun, An Sung Yi, and Bang Shin Sil. Bang Shin Sil finally got herself into that top five. So sitting at that fifth position, she's still put herself in very good stead to climb even further up. Then, of course, you've got the 13th spot taken up by a quintet that includes Hwang Yumin, Yoon Sua, Lee Ji-young, Lee Hyun-cheo, and Kim Na-young. Then you've got that 22nd position onwards, where you've got a flock of competitors in there. So once again, just a quick look at our leaders. It's tee off time once again. Bang Shin Sil, hole number 10. She's been a fairly good performer, fairly consistent. She's been able to keep her wits together, and that's so very important. Meanwhile, here's Lee Ji-young, 370 meters for the asking, on to hole number 10. She still stayed with a 2 under score, which is a fairly good. Here's Jeong Yun-ji, still holding on to that 2 over. She'd definitely like to kind of bring that to an underscore. Gets herself onto the rough, just off, well, the fairway a tad bit. No, she's talking about these inclines, right? It's almost like layers, almost like steps. I don't know if you've ever seen agricultural farming where, there's this layers or there's steps, or they call it step farming if I'm not mistaken. I'm not into agriculture, but I've seen them in certain parts of Asia, and absolutely wonderful. Terrace, maybe it's called terrace plantations, something like that. But the course always reminds me of that. There always inclines here. There's always layers of it, and well, I did promise you, and I didn't keep my promise really. So I have to tell you that this course, of course, has a lot of rich history behind it. It's the Starhue Golf Resort. Well, as we know, is right here in the Yangpyeong county. It's very close to Mount Yeongmunsan and Mount Yunyongsan, and where the Star and Hue 9s on the 18-hole layout extend to about 7,211 yards from the back markers. The resort is quite a sight to see nowadays, and a number of Korean celebrities come here to relax, play on the fairways. There are the fairway side condos as well, lots of leisure facilities. Let me not now be the ambassador of the place, but architect Song Ho Cheng, let's give him the credit. Architect Song Ho Cheng, way back in 2009, had put this design together entirely, and the shaping was done by Tom Peck, who carved the fairways from a heavily frosted landscape. So every hole that is played is in isolation from the other and offers a complete escape from the outside world. It's an entirely different setting. It's like almost like you're playing on the hillside. I do love this course very much. So Song Ho Cheng, that was the architect. Let's give him his due for that. It's been a good day at the office for this young lady, and we've seen her come out with some great shots. Lim Jin Young going in for her second stroke. This is for hole 9, 113 meters to the hole. She's got a 4 under. Well, a bit of ML on that one, if you ask me. I think she wanted to place it fairly closer, but a birdie within reach. But it's going to take a lot of skill to get there, and well, no doubting the skill of the golfers here. But as I said, wind conditions have been fairly challenging. Choi Min Kyung aiming for birdie. Easy peasy, if you ask me, there on hole number 10. So Choi Min Kyung, that's her third birdie of the day. She had 1 bogey. She's gone up to now 2 under, and I think she'll be very, very happy about that. Oh, wonderfully placed. Wonderful. Absolutely marvelous there. Kim Min Sun will aim for birdie here on hole number 12. Remember, it's only a par 3, so this is the second. Oh, wonderful. And she'll be absolutely delighted with that. So Kim Min Sun now on to 2 under, 3 birdies and a bogey so far. She's done with 12, which means she's still got 6 more to go. Lee Chi-young on to her second stroke for hole number 10. I do love her form. She's got a very, very nice drive. She's got a very nice positioning. Oh, well, the way she swings, movement of her torso, her arms. Hasn't really gone past that 2 under. She's just kind of kept it consistent, but will definitely like to get herself into a better standing like, well, her group mate here, and that is Bang Shin-sil. Bang Shin-sil as well got into that rank 5th position. 127 meters to the hole, second stroke for her on hole number 10. Oh, still a distance there, from the can, but I think I wouldn't put anything past her. She's provided us with a few stellar shots today. 120 meters to the hole for Kim Woo-jung. It's a par 5. This is the third. Lim Jin Young aiming for birdie for hole number 9. It's a bit of an incline there, or decline, I think, when you look at it. Well, I think there's every chance that she could have actually got another underscore there, but she'll be happy to just keep it where it is, because the last thing you want to try and avoid those bogeys at all costs. So just got a bit of the carpet there to fly. She's scaled the green, got herself just on the edge into the rough. Yes, Jo Hai Lim. She finishes with a birdie on 9. That's 35 for her, and a 1 under on the front 9. That's a Cuban, all right. The function still. Ball has been delighting the audience here today. Family, friends, fans. Trying to get as close as possible to the can. There's one thing that a lot of us, of course, have missed out, and I must tell you a little secret about this where, since this tournament has returned back to the calendar after a few years, there's a bit of a story behind it. Lee Ji-young aiming for birdie now on hole number 10. It's a good chance for her to catch up with the group mate Bang Shin-sil. Just about kissed that surface, didn't it? Should stay with that on par. So there is a hole, well, on this area where it's considered to be, well, a bit of a worry for most golfers, and that is the 11th hole. It's a par 4 for the asking. This, of course, is hole number 13. Kim Woo-jeong with a 4th effort. And she will have to look for an even par score. So hole number 11, which is, par 4 off the star, 9. And, well, on the first and second days, the winner, of course, is decided by the positioning of the teeing ground changes. So players always have to strategize what to come up with. But they do tend to practice a lot on hole number 11 with their teeing off. That's our leaders once again. Yoon Min-ah, Park Min-ji, Park Yeol, and Lim Jin-young form the top quartet. They lead, it's a 4 score that they're carrying. Now, it's the first time in 5 years that the 3-day tournament has returned to the Star Hue. The competition has been held at golf courses other than the Dusty Hue since 2019. And participants have spent a longer time, actually strategizing as well as, getting a feel of the course. The first and second days of the 11th hole are 369 meters long, and on the final day it's pulled forward and transformed into 280 meters. There's no choice but to choose a method of targeting the pin with a second shot. Now, just like the ordinary par 4 holes, players can warm up on the final day to gauge the difference of what that 11th hole has in terms of distance. And the final day, the straight distance from the teeing ground to the center of the green is only 235 meters compared to 2019. The length of the hole 11 was the same on the first day and the second day. So that hole number 11 is the tricky one. I don't know if it's your favorite number. Mine is 7, so I'm just saying. got herself onto the rough a while back, and I think she just wanted to, well, scale out of that position. And I think that's worked against her. Actually hit the edge and came back in. Fairly decent world stroke. I think she'd be happy about that. Here's Jo Hai Lim onto her second. This is for hole number 10. She's got herself onto a patch of the rough. A hole in one. The EQB Mercedes up for grabs. This is when I wish that I was playing in the KLPGA. Well, 7 iron, that's what Kim Woo Jong is going with. It's hole number 14, par 3 for the asking. You know what is the shocking thing is that sometimes you think that, you know, you'll always have sponsors offering those gifts when they know it's impossible. Actually, that's not true. There are some events where 3 golfers have been able to get a hole in one where there is a car to be given away. So Lim Jin Young now with the second for hole number 10. She's still the joint leader with that 4 under score. That's going to roll away. You know, when the wind can carry the ball and when there's an incline, it's just, it's almost a double whammy, isn't it? Always a pretty sight, our young golfers. Delight to watch them. Very, very vivacious, most of these girls, really vibrant. You know, their demeanor. Here's Bang Chen-sil now. And that's the hole we were talking about, hole number 11. Par 4 for the asking. The distance will change, you know, on day 2 and on the final day. It'll be brought forward. It's a very, very tricky hole. A lot of these young ladies have spent a good bit of time practicing on hole 11. So very consistent, unchanged so far.
이번 대회 우승할 목적으로 나온 건 아니었는데 그래도 이렇게 우승할 수 있게 되어서 정말 좋고요. 좋습니다. 아직은 크게 막 다른 목표를 세우진 않았고 그래도 올해 드림투어 상금왕을 한번 노려보고 있어요. 2개 정도만 더 우승을 하고 싶습니다.
가는 마음관들이 채워지는 도시에 자리 찾아가는 퍼즐처럼
제가 조금 바람에 강한 구질을 치다 보니까 크게 상관없었는데 오늘따라 스윙이랑 몸 컨디션이랑 집중도가 잘 안 돼가지고 좀 힘들게 플레이했지만 그래도 끝까지 집중을 해서 마지막 홀에 버디로 2타 차로 우승한 것 같습니다. 저의 프로님이시자 멘토이시자 친구 같은 저희 아버지께 가장 감사드리고요. 저희가 가장 크게 흔들렸을 때 잡아주신 어머니께 감사하고 할머니랑 저희 가족분들 저를 응원해 주시고 도와주셔서 정말 감사드립니다.
내 모든 걸 던져
Just saw Kim Min Kyung earlier, one of the winners of the jump tour. Now here's Choi Min Kyung. She's looking for birdie on hole number 11. Remember, we said it's a tricky hole, and if you can nail a birdie on it, all that practice would have paid off. Well, we'll just miss out on a birdie, there's no doubt about it. Jo Hai Lim looking for birdie on hole number 10. Well, we'll have to skip it for this time. Just talking about the hole number 11, you always have that one hole which is worrying, isn't it? But a lot of these golfers did spend a lot of time on teeing off from hole number 11. There's a reason for it. It's a challenging tee shot which involves crossing a deep valley. The wide fairways and the pine forest lining the hole provide a bit of relief, but it's a long par 4 uphill hole. It's very important to hit your tee shot very far. Now you're on hole 14. It's an entirely different story. And here we go back to one of the ladies who's been in the focus of our camera for a bit. Well, just on the edge. Not live, but that shot. It's Lim Jin Young now, aiming for birdie. She's also a joint leader. She's been very, very consistent with her performance today. This is hole number 10. For that sloping area, I think wasn't entirely in control of that, but she'll will accept it the way it is. Here's Bang Shin Sil. Just to get a view of the green from here, this is the second now stroke for her, 106 meters to the hole. This is hole number 11 that we've been talking about. 3 under so far. Oh, that's wonderfully done. Absolutely marvelous effort here from Bang Shin Sil. Well, you can never really speculate in a round of golf, can you, on a tournament? But you always know those few golfers who start just building up, like building blocks from day one onwards. And that incline once again, another victim falling to it. Meanwhile, here's Kim Woo Jeong. I was aiming for birdie on hole number 14, just a narrow miss for her. Lim Jin Young. Just put a bit too much of club on that. And that's going to see her dropping her score. She's going to bogey that one, no doubt about it. I think a tad bit unfortunate. Just released that a bit impulsively, if you ask me. Jung Yoon Ji now. Her second stroke for hole number 11. Also wonderfully placed, just like Bang Shin-sil. Meanwhile, to Hai Lim. She's missed out on the bogey, which means it's going to be a bit detrimental for her. It's a double bogey for her here. Very, very disappointed with that, no doubt. But at the other end, here's Choi Min Kyung. Hole number 12, aiming for birdie. It's not going to be an easy shot, getting it off the rough onto the carpet, and then, well, that tad bit of an incline that took the ball towards the right. Lim Jin-young. Oh, she's not going to really... she missed out on the birdie, my mistake. I almost thought she was going to bogey that. She'll finish here with an on par. And I think she just missed out on that birdie earlier. I do apologize for that. Do apologize to Lim as well. So she's kept it consistent still as a joint leader up there with a 4 under. Now here's Lee Ji-young. Hole number 11. That's the third. We'll aim for birdie. Well, just falling short of the destination, but I don't think she'll be really too flustered with that. Choi Min Kyung, it's a narrow distance to finish with a even. Well done, it's out. Didn't have to break a sweat for that either. So I think it's still that 2 under that she's carrying. Would like to upgrade that, definitely. Chance to finish here with an underscore. Jung Yoon Ji, hole number 11. Well, that's going to do well for her morale. Absolutely well. She'll bring it down now to a 1 over. And I think Jung Yoon Ji said, 3 bogeys. That's the second birdie of the day. And to conquer hole number 11. I did say this earlier that, all that practice would have practically paid off. Now here's Bang Shin-sil. Can she, well, do what a group mate did? Well, yes, she has. Absolutely marvelous. She's up now with the leadership. Bang Shin-sil right at the top now with a 4 under. I did say this earlier. It's been like building blocks for her. Oh, just look at that. That is gorgeous, isn't it? Absolutely gorgeous. The colors, the layers. And not to forget, the mineral, the water bit also in there. It's just massive. I have such a weakness for scenic beauty like that. This is really tremendous, isn't it? I mean, most of the courses in Korea, of course, give you such beautiful views, but this is absolutely fantastic. I'm so glad to see it return back to the golf calendar after a few years. The Star Hugh Golf Resort. Lim Jin-young teeing off for hole number 11. Well, meanwhile, moving on to her next challenge, here's Bang Shin-sil. Remember, she's the leader in a group as well, so she'll tee off first. It's hole number 12. She's going in with a 6 iron. It's a par 3, 165 meters for the asking. Doesn't swing her body too much, if you notice, but she just has that right amount of turn, the twist of the torso. Does pack in a good bit of power, I would believe, from her forearms. Very nicely placed shot. And this is what we're talking about. You just notice that follow through. It's not an entire swing. It's almost like a semi, powered shot. But she packs in a wallop from that forearm and those wrists. So Beautiful placement. Sets herself up for another birdie, and I think she's done fairly well here, Bong Sil. You know, if you grow from strength to strength, or if you start off with a bang and then you kind of, you know, decline with your performance, it's not really the best. But to slowly up, you know, your performance, I think that's a big one. Here's Choi Rim with the second stroke for hole number 15. She's going to fly the green for definitely just a little bit, not too much. Kim Min Sun for hole number 14. So that's well done. Straight onto, well, the green for hole. Lee Ji-young will follow now. She's going in with a 5 iron. If you notice, unlike Bong Sil, her group mate, who goes in with a 6, and you'll find Lee Ji-young going in with a 5. If Bong Sil goes in with an 8, she goes in with a 7. Or she goes in with a 7, she'll go in with a 6. It's always said this is just personal preference, nothing else. So there we have it. Yun Mina, Park Min Ji, Park Yeol, and Bang Sil a lead right there at the top. We did have, of course, you know, one of the top players falling out, and that was due to a bogey earlier. I think we had a mistake with the graphics, but it was definitely a change. So Bang Sil is right there at the top now with the other contenders. And just a few worries there for, well, some of our stars, especially those that sit in the rank 5th position. Lim Jin-young, she was up there all along. She's had her, well, her share of challenges as well. So she's done with, you know, with 10. It's going to be interesting to see what she's going to finish the day with. Lee Ji-young aiming for birdie now, the hole number 12. And she's gonna narrowly miss that. She'll have to settle for an even. Meanwhile, at another hole, I'd say, needs to get herself back onto the carpet, and I think that's exactly what she's going to do. Oh, chipped that beautifully. I do love it when the ball lands right on the line of the flag. Or right on the line, or the shadow of the pole, to be more correct. Oh, that's what you call confidence. Well, just the right amount of power behind that. Kim Min-sun, 7. She's got another birdie there to make up for a previous bogey, so it's a 2-under score back again for her. Well, I do love it when you can exude that confidence. Lee Ji-young. And she's just lipped out. She won't be too happy about that. Well, so close to have just finished with an on-par score there for that hole. But I think she'll have to settle for a bogey, nothing else. Bang Chun-sil. And that's a birdie on hole number 12, which means she's going to be the leader in the event. I was just talking about her earlier. She's gone from strength to strength. And, well, if she can keep this kind of form for the next 3 days, she's in serious, well, she's going to be a serious challenger for the tournament. And I think that's the interesting part. Now here's a young lady who's definitely eager on winning a form back. Lim Jin-young, remember she was the joint leader. She missed out with that bogey. Now she's of course holding a 3-under, but she's in very, very good position here to nail a birdie, and if she can do that, she'll get herself back into that second spot. I did correct myself earlier. Well, she did have a bogey, which is why she dropped out. Just kind of thrown off by the graphic earlier. Kim Wo-jeong aiming for birdie on hole number 15. Just narrowly missed out on that. She'll settle for an even score. That should serve her well. Absolutely delightful performance from her. So don't forget, there's never a consistent part of, keeping the same distance, keeping the same, well, I'd say challenges more or less, but the distance always does change. And I do love this area of the course very, very much. I do believe that this is the part that has the Gosong mineral water right in the middle out there. That's probably a natural spring, really. I've never really. I'd love to go and touch the water. Anything that spouts is big with me. Uh, having said that, here we are. Another tee off for Bangchan Sil, who's the current leader in the tournament on day one. Remember, it's a par 5 for the asking. Hole number 13, 480 meters. Well, she packed a good bit of power into that. Kind of stayed on the fairway, so. Well, she's been very focused, and I think she's got to keep that. She's got to keep that intensity going. Meanwhile, here, looking to get back into the form that she was earlier. It's Lim Jin Young. And it's a birdie for her, which means she's got back to that 4 under. And that's what you call coming back out of it. Well, she bogeyed the 10th, and on the 11th, it's a birdie for her. She'll be pleased as punch. Don't write her off, Lim Jin Young. She's a very, very exciting golfer to watch in action. Chai Min Kyung on hole number 13. This is the 3rd stroke. The ball's just going to stay away from the can quite a bit. But I think she'll be. She's just got a smile. She's happy that she got it close enough. Lee Chi Young will tee off for hole number 13. Remember, a par 5, 480 meters, does call for a good bit of ball strength. So this is a unique hole. When you talk about it, always believe the natural springs, or where they are always such a delight. Or sometimes natural mineral water that is tapped out. Well, some of the things that science has been able to explain, but it's always a mystery, isn't it? Such a marvel by itself. We're still enjoying those gorgeous views. Always our unsung heroes, our producers, our directors, our cameramen. And while we talk about them, let's look at Bangchan Sil. Still leads with a 5 under. Yun Min-ah, Park Min-ji, Park Yeol, and Lim Jin Young are in second position. Lim Jin Young will be glad to have got back there. Now here she is teeing off for hole number 12. Remember, it's 165 meters. And if you can nail that the way that Bangchan Sil did, she'll get herself back into that leader position. Well, I think just a tad bit too. She'll have to look towards on par finish. Jong Yun Ji onto a second stroke, 263 meters to the hole. This is for hole number 13. Remember, it's a par 5. Bang Chun Sil in with her on this. Well done there. Choi Min Kyung on hole number 13 nails a birdie, goes up to a 3 under. She's had 1 bogey and 4 birdies today. Second stroke on hole number 13. And I think she's just stayed out of danger. Just about it. Bang Chun Sil. Remember, she's on hole number 13. It's a par 5 that we're looking at. She's just out of the carpet area. She's still got 3 strokes to go, so no worries at all for her. It can always be daunting in these areas. And when you're looking at about 480 meters, it's not the easiest. Remember this par 5 hole that Bang Chun Sil and her group mates are on. You need to hit really long shots, over the wide fairway. Long hitters can target the bunker towards the right side and aim for a 2-on, but the green slopes on the left make it very dangerous, so they've got to be very, very cautious. Now over to Kim Wo Jeong, being reminded that it's the second stroke, hole number 16, 93 meters to go. Let's put it at a bit of a distance from the can. But I think the very fact that you've been able to, scale the waters would be good enough. Second stroke here for Kim Min Sun. Jong Yun Ji. That's her third stroke on hole number 13. She's been calm and collected. I think as long as she can keep her wits together, she'll be happy. Now here's a young lady who's also done fairly well. She stayed off that trap there, and I think that's good enough. Lee Ji Young, one of those 9 lives coming to the rescue. 73 meters to the hole here. It's hole number 13. Certainly got a bit of that carpet to fly. Well, she's got a smile because she actually placed that fairly well. She's been consistent too, if you ask me. The fact that she's got herself into close to the top. It's been a good event for her. Choi Rim aiming for birdie on hole number 16. There's a bit of wind. She'll have to navigate through that. Well, I think that was definitely, which is why she tried to get that, well, banana effort in. Choi Rim will aim for birdie here. She's capable. She is. It's hole number 15. Kim Min Sun now. Aiming for birdie on hole number 15. And that ball definitely, well, needed just a slight bit of a turn. All eyes on this young lady. Bong Shin Sil. The third stroke for hole number 13. And once again, she's placed that beautifully. Now she can hold the wits together. She can keep, well, her spot at the top intact if she nails it with the birdie. Kim Woo Jung. And that's a Cuban for her. It's a good chance. Just a gentle nudge to finish it off, and she'll take that even score gracefully. So Bong Shin Sil right at the top still with 5 under. Yoon Min Ah, Park Min Ji, Park Yeol and Lim Jin Yong, who's got back into that second position. She'll be happy about it. Sit there with a 4 under. Let's not forget that. It's going to be interesting to watch how these young ladies really can finish off at the end of the day. And don't forget that Jung Ji Min, Hwang Yin Ah, Lee Soo Jin, Moon Jung Min, Ko Ji Won are all in tied 6th. And they've got a whole lot of other, well, competitors sitting there along with them. That's Kang Ji Soon, An Song Yi, and Choi Min Kyung. So one at the top, a quartet that follows in second position. It's an interesting take here. That is such a glorious sight, isn't it, of the resort and well, the entire scenic beauty there. Really, really amazing. Jung Yoon Ji just narrowly missing out there. It's a very good opportunity for her to have nailed that. But she'll clean it up. No worries. As long as you can keep an even score. You don't have to shed a tear, or rather sink into a bit of disappointment. Lim Jin Young aims for birdie on hole number 12. It's a very valiant effort from her. It's always going to be a bit of a challenge here.
Okay.
Well, I think she just got a bit too much of club on that when she was teeing off, and I think that that's really the reason why. Just put herself into a bit of a challenging situation. Meanwhile, in the other group, here's Lee Chi-young. Goes for birdie on hole number 13. She's dropped to a 1 under after she bogeyed. Oh, that's well done. Absolutely marvelous to step up back again. Oh, that's exactly what you require. There we had it. That previous bogey on hole number 12 really was the undoing. But she's got a smile on her face. Choi Min Kyung. Hole number... Oh, sorry, that was the second stroke. Bang Shin Sil. Gauging the line, the length. Remember, there's a wind draft, and golfers have to be so very, very... well, should have a command over how that wind's going to make the ball move. It's hole number 13. Oh, that's another birdie for her. And she's just going from strength to strength here. 6 under now, 6 birdies. It's been a very good performance. 13 holes done. Well, I'm really waiting to see what she can do with the next 5. And I do believe that she can keep her performance going the way it is. Oh, she's in for... she will be in to reap the rewards of it. So Lim Jin Young will finish with an on par, so at least she maintains that 4 under in second position, and I think that's going to be good enough for her. The 14th hole, 153 meters. We're looking at a par 3. Very interesting to see that there's only one tricky area right towards the end of the green. Bang Shin Sil teeing off for hole number 14. And she's got herself onto the rough. She won't be too pleased with that shot. Sometimes there's a bit of confidence that does step in, makes you get a little bit complacent. I'm not saying that it's done that to her. ...153 meters. Lee Ji-young now will attempt this. Remember, there's a car up for grabs. That beautiful maroon Mercedes. Absolutely love it. But if I'm not mistaken, of course, this is the tee that is at the highest part of the course. Located at the highest point of the course, it offers a panoramic view of the course and the mountain ridge in the distance. Now this hole requires precision in distance and direction at the same time as a downhill hole, so which is why the prize on offer is a car for a hole-in-one. And although it's only a par 3, that's how tricky it can be. So just landing outside the green. So hole number 14 definitely at the highest point of the course. Lim Jin Young exuding confidence here. She's on to hole 13, 480 meters. 4 under is the score that she's carrying. She's had a fair share of challenges, but she's just come back, and she's an exciting golfer to watch. Very, very gutsy contestant. Here, Kim Min-sun 7, 126 meters to the hole. It's hole number 16 for her. She's on to her second stroke. Kim Woo-jung aiming for birdie there on hole number 17. Well, just gauge that, I think, well, differently. She'll have to settle for an even score. Well, that expression from the audience just says it all, doesn't it? Here's another performer who's just been going about her business. I do love to watch this young lady in action, Lim Jin Young. She's on to her second stroke now for hole number 13. Always love to see, well, any athlete stumble and then get back up stronger. Isn't that, well, I'd say the greatest part of all sports? So Lim Jin Young going about her business. She's got 3 left on this hole, so I don't think it's going to be too much of a worry for her. Meanwhile, Bang Shin-sil currently still leads the way with that 6 under score. She's on to a second stroke for hole 14. Remember how tricky this hole is. Felt my heart skip a beat too. I really thought that it was going to go in. Such a strong chance of nailing a birdie. Absolutely marvelous. And she's cleaned that up. Will keep her leadership intact, but she was so close. So very close. Well, agonizing to watch, isn't it? I can only imagine what the golfer feels at that time. Well, the spouts of water are just fantastic on there. Would love to just come here and lounge, you know, at this very resort. It's just fantastic, isn't it? And such an amazing, well, event where you actually get to be a part of it, not just as an athlete, but as a part of the production team or the broadcast team. It's fantastic to be here. Had some really great moments, Lee Ji-young, before she had that bogey on the 12th. And then she birdied on the 13th, aiming for one on the 14th as well. Can she do it? I believe she can, actually. Just narrowly missing it. Well, just about kissed the lip of it, didn't it? So she'll have to settle for an even. That ball is not just afraid, but it's petrified of the dark, if you ask me. Jung Yoon-ji looking to finish on par for hole number 14. And that's definitely gonna put a bit of a spoke in her day's performance. I think she's going to be thrilled. Please, as Puncher, Park Ji-young. It's, well, consecutive birdies for her. She's got a smile on her face. I did say this earlier. She's a cool customer. Well, some golfers, very flamboyant. Some very easygoing. Some, of course, have this really chilled attitude. And Park just one of them. Now, here's Choi Min-kyung onto a second stroke for hole number 15. It's a par 4 for the asking, remember. Well, if you want to go from beach to beach or bunker to bunker, it can be a huge worry. Just trying to figure out where exactly, well, she would have landed, but we will find out in just a little bit. And here we have the 15th hole, 369 meters. It's a par 4 for the asking. This has the Gosong mineral water in the middle of the hole, as we said earlier. Green is located right deep inside that forested area. If you notice, it's surrounded totally by the forested area, right in the midst of it, and it can be demanding due to that dense forestation. And let's look at the green itself. There's slopes in multiple directions. There's inward inclines and there's outward ones. And then let's not forget the sideways as well. It's a daunting hole. It definitely is. And I'm very excited to see what Bangchan Sil can do with this one. So Park Min-ji, it's still sitting there in that second position. Bang Chin-sil continues with that 6 under score. Yun Mina, Park Min-ji, and Park Yeol, well, who finished the event. Then second position, Lim Jin-young, of course, has still not finished for the day. So, well, when you do see those total scores up there, you pretty much know that, well, the Dawn Breakers are done and dusted. Bang Chin-sil on to hole number 15. Remember, we spoke of how tricky it is. It's tricky when you get onto the green, especially because it's in that, it's like that forest thicket. You want to try and keep yourself more glued towards the fairways. Try to avoid getting yourself onto the rough. I think this is going to be a challenge for Bang Chin-sil, definitely. But she's proved to be stronger than we expected. At the same time, here's another contender. And I think for today, it's almost been a battle between these two for, the latter part or the second part of the second session. Here's Lim Jin-young. That's her third for hole number 13. She's just about flown the green a tad bit. She's still got 2. Might have to settle for an on par. But you never know. Golfers always bring surprises, come up with the impossible. Choi Min-kyung got herself out of the challenging area. She'll miss out on the birdie, but she can definitely finish with an on par. And I think that should serve her well. So there's Bang Chin-sil, still with 6 under. Lim Jin-young, who's on to 13th hole. She's got a fairly good chance of actually getting back up there and tying with Bang Chin-sil at the top, because Bang Chin-sil is 2 holes ahead of her. Very good chance for Lim Jin-young, especially keeping in mind the fact that her other competitors who sit with tied second are finished for the day. Well, the groupings always, you will see, the top contenders normally put together on day 2 after they finish on day 1. I've always wondered whether that's a good or a bad thing. I think it's kind of good because it kind of keeps a healthy contest going, keeps you on your toes, and you really want to do that. While golf may be the most relaxing, easy, and, well, in a way, a unique competition by itself, sometimes you've got to be really, really in the loop. You've got to be focused and clued in at all times. Just a quick reminder that this is the suhyup-bank MBN Women's Open. We're coming at you live from Gyeonggi-do. And this is the Star Hue golf course. It's a part of the golf and resort, which is set right here in the Yangpyeong County. It's very, very close to Mount Yeongmunsan and Mount Yeomyongsan. It's back to the action. Lim Jin Young here. Did mention this, that you would have to settle for an on par for hole number 13. Meanwhile, Bang Chen Sil, it's hole number 15 for her. Her second stroke. Oh, that's well done actually. She's got herself, well, fairly close to the can. Not entirely, but fairly close. Kim Woo Jung. Her third stroke on hole number 18. She'll look to finish off the day's event. Well, some golfers, of course, well, who came in just after sunrise, well, would have finished off. Choi Min Kyung teeing off now for hole number 16. She's still on 2 under. Oh, that's an excellent shot. Absolutely marvelous shot. That definitely flew the distance, didn't it? Choi Rim. Her third stroke. She's 1 under so far. Lim Jin Young finishes on par for hole number 13. She'll still maintain her 4 under. 5 more holes to go to uplift her performance here today. She's been delightful to watch. She's been in very good spirit, and I think that's also served her very well. Kim Min Sun 7. She's still carrying a 2 under. But that's a decent enough effort from her, and if she can keep her wits together, there's always going to be time. There's always going to be space, I'd say, for an underscore here on this hole. Lim Jin Young. Well, she will get ready to tee off hole number 14. Remember, we said tricky hole. Hole in one. If you want to win that beautiful maroon Mercedes, I'd love to drive away in it. And she's just flown the green there, but I still think she could keep an even here on this one. It is a tricky hole. It's kind of difficult to actually, figure out the distance and to gauge exactly how much of height you require with that tee off. Bang Chen Sil, hole number 15. Oh, I think she was just trying to aim for a banana here. But it was not going to be easy. She'll have to undoubtedly finish with an even score. Lee Jae-yong aiming for birdie on hole 15. That expression will just tell you, if you can't see the direction of the ball, well, she'll aim to finish with an own par. Choi rim. Oh, that ball's afraid of the dark, no doubt about it. She'll have to clean that up, finish with an even score, but she was really looking forward to that birdie. So 36 in, 35 out. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how she comes back tomorrow, if she's in that list. Remember, all the golfers that have been put here together today, it'll all be sifted down to an entirely different number tomorrow, halved if you ask me. And that's actually going to be worrying. That's the first bogey for her in in the entire day, and that should have been fairly easy given the asking the par. But I think Bang Shin-sil will still maintain leadership, but she's just going to drop down to a 5 under. Kim Wo-jeong, it's the final hole of the day. Can she nail it with the birdie? She can't believe it. Neither can the caddy, and neither can I. That should have just gone in. It would have been such a perfect finish for the day. It's a great morale booster, isn't it? But she'll finish with an even score and gracefully accept that with a smile. So it's been a good outing for her. She's had a fair challenges in the day. Kim Min-sun, 7, aiming for birdie on hole number 17. Kim Min-sun, interesting from her. She finishes with a birdie on the 17. She's got one more hole to go. Her 36 on the front 9. We did, I'll show you a video earlier of golfer Park Seo-jun, who's in the national golf team. She also gave us a stellar performance this year. Lim Jin-young. Well, a birdie might have been out of the question, but an even score might be. So the suhyup-bank MBN Women's Open, remember, marks its 13th anniversary this year. However, no amateur has ever won this tournament, which is quite interesting. Park Seo-jin, who's 16, is one of the upcoming stars. Much was expected from her. Choi Min-kyung, well, she's still got a 2 under score. She's kept that consistent right through. Well, those mountains, I bet you if you're one that likes hiking or trekking, oh, that's a great way to go. Trekking would be more like it. And it's probably one of the few times in this trio that Lee Ji-young will be, teeing off first. Finished on par in a previous hole. That's hole number 16 for her now. Hole number 16, Longshan's Hill tees off. It's a par 4 for the asking, remember. She bogeyed the previous one, her first bogey of the day, which is why she dropped to a 5 under. Was a tricky hole, hole number 14. Lim Jin Young. It's hole number 14 for her. Will look to finish on par. I think that's well done. Well, it wasn't tough to clean that up, but sometimes nerves can get the better of you. She's still staying with that 4 under, and that's very important. I really want to see where she finishes at the end of the day. Choi Min Kyung, hole number 16, will aim for birdie. And she's done well here. So she moves on to 3 under now. Another very, very gutsy performer. She had a bogey on the 15th, birdie on the 16th. Remember, this is only round 1. So the front 9, of course, for many has been, well, fairly positive. The back 9 has had its few, well, challenges here today. Hole number 16, it's Lee Ji Young onto a second stroke. Remember, the asking was a par 4, 365 meters. She has to fly above the water for this one. Well, she scaled that well. I think had a little bit too much of club on that one. So she's just flown off the green. But as long as you don't get into a hazard, I think you're just... it's a bit of a consolation. Now Jung Yun Ji, she's on to her second stroke as well for hole number 16 before Bang Shin Sil comes in. That's a tad bit surprising. She actually fell shy with the distance. I think she wanted to be a bit more conservative than, well, her group mate. Well, she hasn't really gone into the waters, so I think she was just a tad bit concerned about where that would have landed. Here's Bang Shin Sil looking at a comeback from her. Second stroke for hole number 16. She's got herself onto the rough as well. Fairly far from the pin, but I don't think it's going to be too worrying for her. Meanwhile, she doesn't waste too much time. She's actually quite quick with her decisions here. Lim Jin Yong, she's on to hole number 15 as she'll tee off. An absolutely solid one from her. She does know that she's got to stay on those fairways and stayed fairly close to it. Bang Shin Sil still up there with that 5 under. Lim Jin Yong just tapping now on that leadership position. It's going to be interesting. Very, very interesting. Remember, hole number 15, of course, has the Gosong mineral water in the middle of the hole. The green located is deep in that forest area, we said, and it's something that even, well, Bang Shin Sil found very, very challenging. And I think it's very, very, very keen, very interesting to see how, Lim Jin Yong can conquer that hole. Choi Rim onto her third effort for hole number 16. And I don't think she's going to be happy about that at all. So there have been some big challenges here today. Choi Rim with the duff. I think she's just upset about that. Meanwhile, Bang Sil, she's on to her third year for hole number 16. She needs to get off the rough as well. Well, chip that nice and easy. Puts herself in the safe zone for the time being. And while she does that, of course, here's Park Ju-young. That's her third effort, just sailing past. Well, there was definitely a chance for her to have actually found her mark. It's over to Lee Ji-young, also onto a third stroke. Remember, out of the trio, she's the one that really flew the green, got the most distance, well, on her shot. Well, that's beautifully done. Would have loved to have seen that sail in. Lee Ji-young also now beginning to show some real stellar skill. Talking of which, here's a young lady who's, well, shown us what she can do. And that definitely had a lot of club on it. I think she just about gauged that wrong. It's one thing about Lim Jin-young. She does not really take too much of time. She likes to move quickly. Decision making is really fast. I sometimes think, I wonder whether it's an advantage or a disadvantage, but different golfers it works differently. As Jung Yun Ji, it's hole number 16. That just about lipped out. And we'll have to settle with a bogey. Kim Min-sun 7. Aiming for birdie on hole number 18. She's had an interesting day. And I don't think she's going to be too concerned about that. As long as she can clean that up nice and easy, I think that that's just going to work for her. Well, just trying to figure out whether she should just clean that up or wait her turn, and I think that's what the discussion was about. So she's just going to wait. But sometimes, you know, your competitors will just let you finish. Lee Ji-young finishes with an even score on hole number 16. Lim Jin-young. Remember that she is on hole number 15. Well, a birdie definitely out of the reach for this one. Bouncing Sill will finish on par to maintain her leadership. Would have liked to have nailed the birdie, but she's done well. Did not get the ball too far beyond the pin or too short off it. Set herself well up in the safe zone. So 2 more holes for her to go. Here's Park Chu-young. In for birdie on hole number 4. Sorry, on hole number 18, and that's exactly a fine finish from her. You want to finish 36 on the front, 33 on the back. 3 birdies there in that, back 9. It's been a good finish for young Park. Bang Chun-sil teeing off for hole number 17. Par 4 for the asking. 380 meters. Does get a cheer from the crowd. It's beautiful scenery all around, unfolds in front of you. The atmosphere makes you feel like, well, you're floating on a cloud. Well, that's the best description, isn't it? Now, it does require skill and control about both distance and direction, and the deep valley that has to be crossed. So hole number 17, not the easiest always. Well, in the other group, things have got fairly challenging too. Lim Jin-young. Aiming to finish with an even score on hole 15. I think that's the first time she's actually taken a second look. Wants to be sure of it. And that's the reason why now a bogey for her will carry her back down the order with a 3 under score. And that's exactly what it is. She would have liked to have finished with an even score, and she knows it. Well, she's still got another 3 holes to go, and Redemption Road might be closed, but she'll have to walk that road soon enough if she wants to finish, in the top one, a tied second. Meanwhile, cleaning up, well, her act for the day here is Kim Min-sun, 736 on the front, 34 on the back, finished with an even score at the end, and a 3 under is her day's reward for her efforts, that is. Choi Min-kyung, an even score on hole 17 will keep her at 3 under. She's still got 1 more hole to go. Bang Chun-sil gauging the situation. Remember, she's on hole number 17. That's Jung Yun Ji. On to her second for hole number 17. Sits in the same group as Bang Chun Sil. I've driven that past the destination, but I think that's, well, still going to keep her in good spirit. Bang Chun Sil gauging the situation well. Meanwhile, yes, Lee Ji-young with her second stroke for hole number 17. Using a 5 iron. She does love to employ the 5 or the 6 very often. Again, fairly decent. At least you're closer to the pin than, well, going way past it. Sometimes it's such a big difference. Now it's a challenge here. Almost a parallel for Bang Chun Sil and, well, her group mates. But she's going in with a 9 iron, 116 meters to conquer. Oh, that's a commanding effort. Absolutely commanding effort from her. Beautifully placed. Right choice of club. Perfect distance and height. Marvelous shot from Bang Chun Sil. No doubt about it. So just a quick aerial view once again. Not only are golfers moving or migrating to the next hole, and yes, Bang Chun Sil still on a 5 under. Will be interesting to see if she can scale back to that 6 under. She's on the 17th hole currently. Let's not forget that Lim Chun Yong, of course, once again dropping to that 3 under. Bit unfortunate for her, she landed up bogeying the previous one. So will be interesting. So looking to finish what she started here in the group. She has to conquer that distance. Jung Yun Ji will aim for birdie on hole number 17. Well, she did get fairly close enough. Might just have to settle for an even score. Wind speeds definitely having increased quite a bit. Since we got here in the morning, it was fairly easy. It's gone stronger as the day has progressed, and I think our golfers definitely are feeling that. Not that it's hampered, their performance too much. Here's Lee Ji-young. She'll be looking to finish with a birdie on hole number 17. Well, that's a good effort from her. She can clean that up with an even score, there's no doubt about it. And that's exactly what she does. Bang Shin-sil. Can she finish with the birdie here on hole number 17? And that's just lipped out. Wasn't expecting it. Well, she was so close to nailing that. Would have just taken the score back up to that 6 under. She still maintains leadership with the 5 under. One more hole to go for Bang Shin-sil. I think she would be disappointed with that. She was so much in command of that wall stroke. There you have it again. Just lipped out there. And sometimes the ball can just have a mind of its own. It's just one of those biggest stumbling blocks, isn't it, in golf, no matter what you do. Jung Yoon-ji will aim to finish on par. And she's lipped out as well. It's from a different distance, if you notice, but this is a very, very tricky hole. And she finishes with a bogey. She's not going to be happy about that at all. She's just got one left. Now she lipped out from a different direction, almost the same distance as Bang Shin-sil. On to the 18th hole. It's a par 5 for the asking, 480 meters. The last hole, it's got a view of the clubhouse. Got to avoid those bunkers on the right side if you want to keep your shot fairly strong. And as long as you can avoid that and keep it in the landing zone safely, you can have an advantage for the second shot. The second shot, you've got to see that you get a good bit of height on it on the right side while avoiding that bunker there. Remember, there's an incline coming into the green from the edge, and right down the start of the green there's a descent, which makes it a tricky one. Hole number 18. Lee Ji-young tees off now.
플레이하겠습니다.
Bounce and Sill packing in a wallop with that one. Just off the fairways onto the rough for a bit. She will want to finish on a positive note here. She's really worked hard right through the day. And here's the young lady that completes the trio in this group, Jung Yoon Ji. She's gotten 4 over. Good bit of swing on that one. Also lands on the rough, just off the fairway. So I don't think it's really going to be much of a problem for her. But that 4 under, well, would definitely be, well, disappointing. She would have liked to have had, well, a much better outing here today. Choi Min Kyung. Her third effort for hole 18, 60 meters to the hole. Absolutely decent effort from her. She's put herself in contention of a birdie, and I think it'll be really good for her. She's been, well, one of those performers that has just flown under the radar, but she's been very consistent and trying to get out of the cat box here now, which came as a bit of a surprise. It's Lim Jin Young. Remember, she's already dropped points. She's 3 under. It's very important for her how she navigates out of this. Or did she just hit the hazard? I think she did. That's not going to be good for her. Well, to sink your ball, you're definitely going to have a penalty there. And that means it's a birdie is definitely out, but finishing on par also becomes a challenge. Lim Jin Young, well, she just pulled it back together, you know, a few holes back, and now, well, a few challenges mounting, one on top of the other for her. Here's Choi Min Kyung. Will go for birdie on hole number 18. Would love to finish, of course, like every other golfer, on a very positive note. Oh, that's just about missed. That's agonizingly close for her. I think she just did not, well, take that slight slope into account. Jung Yoon Ji with her second for hole number 18. Lee Ji-young, it's a 2 under, 239 meters to the hole for her. Remember, hole 18, a few bits of a bumpy ride there on the second effort for, well, all three golfers, I believe. Left to be seen what Bang Chun-sil can do on this very, very well hole, and will she finish at the top? You know, the end of day one is never going to be the same as end of day two. There's always going to be different, you know, competitors, well, taking the lead on day two. And she will finish with an on par, and that's pretty much what it is for Choi Min Kyun. 3 under, 36 on the front, 34 on the back 9. I think she'll be happy about that. But just looking back, you know, you need a lot of long hitters here. And Hwang Yoo-min, Yun Na, who's right in there in that, you know, the second tight second, and Bang Chun-sil, these are all long hitters. So it's very interesting to see how they perform. 208 meters that we're looking at now. This time Bang Chun-sil putting in a lot of swing into that. If you did see her body movement, her torso, there's a total amount of swing, a massive twist in there. Very confident with the use of the irons rather than a tee shot. That's for Bang Chun-sil. Lim Jin-young. Remember, she had that well, one-stroke penalty, which is why she now will have to settle for a bogey. She could have finished with an on par, but she hit the cat box first and from the beach into the waters next. And I think that was really her undoing. She'll be very unhappy about that. That's just outside the carpet area. Let's remind you once again that this is the suhyup-bank MBN Women's Open. It's being played right here at the Star Hue Golf Resort in Yangpyeong, Gyeonggi-do, and we are coming at you live from it. 1 billion won is the prize money. That's roughly about 723,000, and well, I had the exact figure. Well, Lee Ji-young on to stroke number 3 for hole 18. I did have the exact 1 billion won, or 274,000 US dollars. I'm not good at maths. I did the conversion earlier, so just in case, I wouldn't take the credit for it. Lim Jin-young would like to finish, well, with a bogey. Didn't have a choice here. And yes, she has, which means there was every chance she could have finished with, well, on par as well. So she's dropped to 2 under, well, consecutive bogeys. She had 3 birdies in that front 9. There's 3 bogeys in the back 9. And she knows it. It's upsetting, and it takes a lot for a young lady, of course, to just gracefully accept it and move on. You can't help but feel for her. She, of course, will be on to hole number 18 soon. But right now we still have the trio that is on to hole 18. And we'll be coming close to the end of what has been a very thrilling day, a very exciting start at such a beautiful, course. The Star Hue Golf Course, or the Star and Hue Golf Course, however you prefer to call it. Bang Chen-sil spoke about how she is one of those long hitters, which is why sometimes she can actually do that just with forearm and wrist power. That's a 3rd stroke on hole number 18, and that ball's going to travel definitely, because it's just a tad bit of wind behind it. Push it forward. It's quite a distance from the pin now. She's a fairly tall girl, Bang Chen-sil. She's got a good bit of height. You always look at how, caddies are always the extension of a golfer, or the part that completes a golfer, and it's so different in other sports. I mean, you do have coaches, but it's not the same. The caddy is practically everything. Sometimes they can be mentors, friends, a cushion to fall back on, comforting, especially, or encouraging when the chips are down. That's what good caddies do. And although some of them don't play professionally, I've seen caddies who can nail better shots than any golfer in the world. It's just fascinating, isn't it? Now here's Bang Chen-sil. Now, there was always going to be a big distance for her. There was no doubt about it. I think she would have liked to have got it closer to the flagstick than anything else, but it is a distance for her, and I think it's interesting to see whether she can finish with an on par, because otherwise his score will change. Meantime, here's her group mate. Jung Yoon-ji. Who will also miss out on a birdie, but she's got fairly close, well, to the can. And she'll clean it up to finish her day's event. Has had a fair share of challenges here today. Jung Yoon-ji, 36 on the front, 38 on the back. Those 3 bogeys on the front and the back really being her undoing. And she finishes with a 4-over score. Not her best, but there are days.
플레이하겠습니다.
남자에서는 훅이 약간 보이는데 골 쪽에서는 난 거의 안 보여.
Definitely a chance here for, well, a fine finish. Remember, Jong Yun-ji, well, her group mate did fairly well. Now Lee Ji-young will attempt a birdie on hole number 18. Can she finish here on a positive? She's had her ups and downs today, but she's been good. She's been good to watch in action. Oh, well done. Just a little under 4 feet there, but absolutely well done. And what a way to finish with a birdie there. And that's 36 on the front, 35 on the back. She's had one bogey and 4 birdies. Finishes with a 3 under. She's pleased as punch with that finish. And I think Bang Jin-sil, well, now this is going to be very important for her because she's got to finish with an on par if she wants to keep her score intact. And I think just a tad bit of nerves for her now. Well, that's so agonizingly close. She'll have to go in for a bogey. She'll finish with a 4 under. And I think she will lose that leadership spot. She's now a joint leader. She's had, well, 6 birdies, 2 bogeys, 36 on the front, 35 on the back. But it's those bogeys that really were her undoing. But she'll be happy. She's still a joint leader. But unfortunately losing out on that leadership position. Also, Lim Jin-young, who still has to finish, well, her activity for the day. It's been quite a challenging one for her, where she dropped to 2 under on hole 17. So, quick look at some of the amazing, well, moments we had on the 4th hole. Then, of course, there was one on the 5th hole. That was Park Gyeol, who was tied first at the time. So the 6th and the 7th was always going to be interesting. Then on the 9th hole, Bang Jin-sil gave us that delightful placement. It was such a fantastic effort, and that's where she began to really shine. She's definitely the star to watch, you know, for the second session of the day. And that was on the 12th when she teed off as well. Beautifully done. So close to nailing a hole-in-one. Clean that up with a birdie, and that's where she began to really shine through those, well, few moments. On the 13th hole again. But it was just, you know, performance or just stroke with better stroke, and that's when she was way ahead of the pack with a 6 under. Claimed the leadership, shot ahead. But then on the 18th hole, of course, Bang Jin-sil just missing out with an on-par finish, dropped back to a tied, well, leadership with 3 other golfers. Otherwise, it would have been her leading all the way. So that's pretty much what it was here for day one. So Yoon Mina, Bang Jin-sil, Park Min-ji and Park Yeol formed the top quartet. Bang Jin-sil just losing out towards the end. Kim Min-sun, 7, Choi Min-kyun, Lee Ji-young, along with Hwang Yin-ah, Lee Soo-jin, Moon Jung-min, Ko Ji-won, Kang Ji-soon, Jeong Seol-gi, all are in tied 5th. Let's remind you once again, before anything else, that this, of course, was a live event. We were coming at you live from the Suhyup Golf and Resort, and it's a beautiful course. The suhyup-bank MBN Women's Open Day 1. The round 1 was, of course, an exciting one, and we'll be coming at you live again from Gyeonggi-do tomorrow. But one of the biggest stumbling blocks, of course, was for Lim Jin-young, where she went from being a joint leader to being second, tied 5th, and then finally dropping out of contention. It will be interesting to see her back in the contest tomorrow and to see how that top 4, the top quartet, perform. Thank you so much for joining us to share the action of this wonderful golf event. My name is Glenn Mascarenas. It's time for me to shut shop and ship out of here. I'll catch you again tomorrow, closer towards noon. Till then, you take care and bye-bye for now.